Looking for a fancy pumpkin dessert to serve over the holidays that doesn't have a lot of calories and points? Well, I've got the perfect solution for you. It's my mini pumpkin pies with cinnamon cardamom streusel topping. They're absolutely delicious and your guests are going to love them. The greatest thing about them, they're easy to make and you can make them up ahead of time. Coming up on Gourmet Done Skinny. Have you ever been frustrated with diet food? Well, I have. I'm Amy Lawrence from Gourmet Done Skinny, and that was me a few years ago. In 2014, I tore my vertebral artery in my neck from a Pilates accident, which caused a stroke. And after the stroke, all I wanted to do was eat, and so I did. And I gained a lot of weight. Finally, I got my act together and I joined Weight Watchers, and I lost about 40 pounds. And I started lightening up my own homemade recipes because I wasn't happy with the recipes in the Weight Watcher app. They were fine, but it's just, I'm a foodie, I'm a cook, I love to eat, I live to eat. And so I decided that if I was gonna go to all this work to put all these recipes into the Weight Watcher Builder app, then other people might enjoy my homemade lightened up recipes as well. And that's how Gourmet Done Skinny was born. All right, let's get cooking. Let's get started on these mini pumpkin pies. They're super easy to make. You're gonna love them. I've already preheated our oven to 350 degrees, so we're all set with that. Next, we're going to mix in 1 egg, a can of pumpkin, ¾ cup of the 2% evaporated milk, 2 tablespoons of sugar, three tablespoons of brown sugar, a teaspoon of cinnamon, for the ginger, I actually like to use fresh ginger. You can use ground ginger if you'd like. An easy way to peel the ginger is to take a spoon and you just scrape it, just like this. And then I'm just going to grate it over the pumpkin mixture until I get about 1 teaspoon. That looks about right. Next, we're going to add in 1/4 teaspoon of allspice, a 1/4 teaspoon of cloves, a 1/4 teaspoon of kosher salt, and 1½ teaspoons of vanilla. And I can't remember if I did the cinnamon, so we're going to do it again, just to be on the safe side. A little more cinnamon won't hurt anyway. My kids absolutely love this dessert. Originally, the dessert had a cake mix kind of topping on the top that you just sprinkled the cake mix on, but it had a ton of sugar and it was a ton of points. So I've kind of changed the recipe, lightened it up, and put them in these little mini pumpkin pie shells, and they're absolutely delicious, and the kids love them. They also like to eat the dessert without the shells, just as like a pudding. All right, so we've got all our ingredients in there, and we're going to mix it up. Just like this. Next, we're going to make our topping. I put 1 cup of oatmeal in here and 3 tablespoons of brown sugar. And we're going to add 2 teaspoons of cinnamon. All right, 1/8 teaspoon of cardamom. and 2½ tablespoons of melted butter. Just like that. We're going to mix all this up. So we've got our topping and we've got our pumpkin mixture all ready to go, although I realized just a minute ago that I forgot to put in the nutmeg. You can use ground nutmeg, but I like to use this whole nutmeg where you grind it up yourself. All right. All right, so we've got our pumpkin mixture all ready to go. We're going to pour it in an 8x8 pan. You can use, if you've got a pretty pottery pan, pottery bowl, you can use that as well. And now we're going to add our topping, just like this. Just kind of put it on there. Just kind of sprinkle your topping over your filling. And we're going to bake it for about 35 minutes till it's about done. I'll be back. Now we're going to take it out of the oven and we're going to put it on top of the stove for just, maybe 20 minutes. And then after that, cover it up, put it in the refrigerator, and usually I like to let it sit overnight so it's well chilled, but a few hours would be great. It just tastes better, in my opinion, if it's well chilled, and it fits in the little shells a little bit better. It's not so mushy. So we're going to let it chill, and we'll be back again. All right, now we're going to put our filling in our little shells. I like to use these mini phyllo shells. You can find them at the grocery store. Sometimes they're by the bread, sometimes they're inside the freezer section. It just kind of depends on your grocery store. Usually the higher end grocery stores have them. You can also find them on Amazon. That's where I buy mine in packs of 3, and then I just store them in the freezer until I'm ready to use them. But they work really great. When you're doing your filling, you don't want to fill the little shells more than maybe 3 or 4 hours ahead of time. Otherwise, they won't be crunchy. They taste fine if you do them overnight, but they don't have that little crunch, and I really like the crunch from the shells. So you take a little shell, this is how we're going to make it, and you just put it in the little shell just like that. And then we're going to take a pecan and pop it in the middle there. Now, if you don't like pecans, then you don't have to have them on there, but I think they look pretty. However, if you don't use pecans, they're only 1 point a piece versus 2 points a piece. They're about 44 calories per little pie. It's great because for Thanksgiving, you can have them all portioned out. And if you decide you're going to splurge and you want to eat 3, well, at least you know how many points and how many calories that's going to be versus a big old piece of pumpkin pie. And how have we lightened this recipe up? Well, first we've used 2% evaporated milk instead of the full fat evaporated milk. We've used less sugar, and then we've used the mini phyllo pie shells instead of pie crust. If you've liked this video today, please subscribe to my channel. I'd love to see you again.